In a quiet neighborhood in Philadelphia, there lived an 80-year-old man named Thomas. Every year, as soon as December arrived, the entire neighborhood waited for one special moment. They couldn't wait to see Thomas's house. It was always the brightest home on the street. Thousands of Christmas lights covered the roof. A beautiful Christmas tree stood proudly in the front yard. Colorful decorations filled every window. Soft Christmas music drifted through the cold winter air. From the outside, it looked like a house full of joy. But behind those glowing lights, Thomas lived completely alone. His beloved wife Emily had passed away 6 years earlier. His children had grown up. They called him from time to time, but they rarely came home. Still, every Christmas, Thomas decorated the house exactly the same way. The neighbors couldn't understand it. One snowy afternoon, a young girl named Sophie walked across the street and knocked on his door. When Thomas opened it, she smiled politely. "Mr. Thomas, I've always wanted to ask you something." Thomas smiled. "What is it?" Sophie looked around at the beautiful decorations. "If you live alone, why do you spend so much time decorating your house every Christmas?" Thomas looked at the lights hanging from his porch. For a few seconds, he didn't say a word. Then, a gentle smile appeared on his face. "Because my wife loved Christmas more than anything." He invited Sophie inside. As she entered the house, she noticed Christmas decorations everywhere. Old ornaments, handmade wreaths, vintage stockings hanging above the fireplace. And on one wall, dozens of framed family photographs. Pictures of Christmas mornings, family dinners, children opening presents. And in every single photograph, there was Emily. Always smiling, always laughing. Thomas carefully picked up one picture. "This," he whispered. "This was our very first Christmas together. We were young. We had almost no money. We couldn't even afford Christmas presents." He laughed softly. But Emily didn't care. She made paper stars with her own hands. She decorated our tiny apartment. And somehow, it became the happiest Christmas of my life. Thomas looked at the photo for a long moment. That night, Emily told me something I've never forgotten. Sophie listened quietly. Thomas smiled. She said, "Christmas isn't about expensive gifts. It's about making people feel loved." For many years, they celebrated every Christmas together. They cooked dinner, watched old Christmas movies, invited neighbors, laughed together, and filled their home with warmth. Then, everything changed. One winter, seriously ill, she spent several weeks in the hospital. On Christmas Eve, Thomas sat beside her hospital bed. She gently held his hand, looked into his eyes, and whispered, "Promise me something." Thomas nodded. Emily smiled softly. "Even if I'm gone one day, promise me you'll never stop celebrating Christmas." Tears filled Thomas's eyes. He squeezed her hand. "I promise." A few months later, Emily passed away. Thomas's world fell apart. The house Every room reminded him of her. The empty chair beside the fireplace, her favorite coffee mug, her knitting basket. Everything felt empty. Thomas barely left his house. He stopped smiling, stopped talking, stopped living. Then, December arrived once again. While cleaning the attic, he found an old box. Inside were all of Emily's Christmas decorations. Thomas sat there silently, holding one small ornament in his hands. Then, he remembered his promise. Slowly, he stood up. He carried the box downstairs. He hung the lights, decorated the tree, placed every ornament exactly where Emily used to put it. And for the first time since losing her, he smiled. From that year on, Thomas decorated the house every Christmas. Not because he expected visitors, not because he wanted attention, but because it made him feel close to Emily. As Christmas Eve approached, something unexpected happened. Sophie came back. This time, she brought Christmas cookies. The next day, another neighbor offered to help decorate the tree. Soon, more families joined. Children laughed as they hung ornaments. Neighbors brought homemade food. Christmas songs filled the house once again. For the first time in many years, Thomas's home was alive again. That Christmas Eve, everyone gathered around the dinner table. The room was filled with laughter, warm lights, and smiling faces. Thomas looked around the room. For just one moment, it almost felt like Emily was sitting beside him. After dinner, Thomas slowly stood up. He raised a glass. The room became quiet. I used to believe Christmas ended the day I lost my wife. He paused and smiled. But tonight, I finally understand something. Love never truly disappears. Sometimes it returns through the kindness of strangers who slowly become family. No one spoke. Several neighbors quietly wiped away tears. Late that night, after everyone had gone home, Thomas sat alone beside the glowing Christmas tree. He looked at Emily's photograph, smiled gently, and whispered, "Thank you." Outside, soft snowflakes drifted through the night sky. The Christmas lights sparkled quietly. The house was peaceful. And for the first time in many years, Thomas no longer felt alone. He simply closed his eyes, smiled, and enjoyed the warmth of Christmas, just as Emily had always hoped he would.